Last time on Square Roots, Laguna earns his dinner, Zell stages a prison break, and Selphie destroys an entire government military facility. Later, we discover that a giant orange man lives in the basement, Sid is married to our worst enemy, and our house can fly. Whatever.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Square Roots, the classic RPG podcast. My name is Jim Banks. I am joined by Matthew Van Sant.
Hey, yo.
John Matron Brandon.
Good morning.
And Vanessa.
I'm Vanessa.
And I'd like to make sure you guys are paying attention right now. This is a podcast where we play and talk about your favorite classic RPGs, one chunker at a time, like Final Fantasy VIII.
Did we talk about what we do on this show?
I knew that was going to come up. Yes, we did. And we're playing Final Fantasy. This is part 5 of Final Fantasy VIII.
Sure
It is.
We've made some progress in this game.
How many parts is this going to be?
There's 8? There's 3 more after this?
I think there's 9.
Wow.
Right?
It's a long go.
Wow. It doesn't feel like there can be that much left.
How long is disc 4?
Oh, I forgot there's 4 discs.
Yeah.
I thought all these games were 4 discs.
No,
Final
there's 3.
Fantasy VII was 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 9 was 3.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VI was just one cartridge. No disc at all.
That is true.
Thank you.
Well, before we get into the level up, we should probably talk about our Patreon poll.
Oh,
It's getting
I haven't
close.
Looked at that.
It's
Man,
getting
it's
close.
getting too close.
Kingdom
I've been
Hearts 2 is at
riding high.
39%. Deus
Yeah.
Ex is at 35%.
I've been riding high on Kingdom Hearts 2's lead for a while. When I saw the results today, it was borderline devastating.
You played the entire game already for like the 10th time. I want to say I kind of have come around on the idea of playing Kingdom Hearts 2 because we are going to stream Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories when it releases on the Epic Store at the end of the month, hopefully, barring any issues, assuming Kingdom Hearts 2 wins. And I like Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories a lot, so...
Is the Chain of Memories stream dependent on Kingdom Hearts 2 winning the poll?
Yeah.
Wow, see,
That's
patrons?
not fair.
If you vote for Kingdom Hearts 2, you not only get a great Kingdom Hearts 2 series, but you get the added bonus of a Twitch stream featuring Matt and I playing Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories.
And hopefully
yeah?
John
Well-
and Vanessa as well.
And
if they
hopefully
choose.
John and Vanessa, if they can make
choose.
it.
Well, if Deus Ex wins, I'm going to stream Cyberpunk 2071.
Don't
as
do
soon
that.
as
Won't.
You could buy it again because I can't buy it for my console.
Is it back on the console stores yet? Is it on the Xbox
No,
One?
I don't think so. It
That's
might be
wild.
on Xbox. It's not on PlayStation. Yeah, they are not having it. They are mad.
I guess
didn't
there's
realize
like one big patch coming that like I think that CD Projekt Red keeps delaying.
Yeah, it was supposed to be out already, and then they were like, COVID. We can't do it.
that's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I knew that it got pulled. I didn't realize it was going to be long term. What a slap in the face. But it's good.
I know.
Developers should not be able to release broken games on consoles and sell them as if they are not broken.
Yeah, and all that pre-sale money, too, which they had to refund if people bothered going through the process. But, some people won't,
Oh,
or
lots of people
they
won't.
have other stuff going on or something, It just seems like a scam.
That's a
Video
bummer.
games are a scam.
Yeah, I guess so.
They are.
I mean, have you
Wait,
seen
are
some
you-
of the games on the App
That's
Store?
what I say.
Woof.
You're saying that now, but I just got my copy of Anthem because I know that the updated version of Anthem is going to
What?
come out, and it's going to be
Did
so
it?
good.
Wait,
No,
hold on.
they
Didn't
canceled it.
They just announced that they are abandoning
Yes.
Anthem.
Wait, what?
Johnny.
No.
Well, that's okay, John. You can play Vampire Masquerade Seattle version with me when that comes out.
Yay!
See you guys in 2024.
This has been going on since we were kids. When are these developers going to realize, don't set a date? But they want that pre-order money. Oh, they want that pre-order money.
They also want to give their fans something to look forward to.
Buddy, you can
Keep
release
that
screenshots
community engaged, buddy. Got to keep that
Joyless
community
world.
engaged.
Just a small, bright spot of hope.
The
We all
only
need something
thing
to
that
latch
brings
onto.
me joy is having a specific date for video games to release on. And that's the only way to drive interest in upcoming video games is by setting an arbitrary release date.
Kind of.
No other method for
Yeah.
getting people excited.
Well,
I mean, Mortal Monday. What happens if Mortal Kombat came out on Mortal Monday and then sucked?
What's Mortal Monday?
That was the I think it was like 92 or 93, the release day for Mortal Kombat 1 on consoles. They were like hyping
really?
it up. Yeah.
Man, remember how good Mortal Kombat 2 was? What a great game.
What I loved about Mortal Kombat that never really panned out was the kind of the lore, but not the lore, but the hints at the lore that you would get if you played the game in the arcade or whatever, you know? Like I really wanted to know more about those ninjas, but then when I did learn more about them, it was crap.
You know, it's weird. Usually I'm a big kind of lore guy, but when it came to Mortal Kombat lore during the game, I was like, I don't give a shit what Outworld is.
Yeah, it's bad.
I don't
That's
care
the problem.
I don't care what Baraka's up to when he's not like chewing on people. I just want to see.
What about
a lot of
Melina?
violence.
She's like Baraka lady.
They keep
Yeah, she
rebooting
is a
that
Baraka
series,
lady.
and they don't seem to realize that they should reboot it and ditch all the shitty lore.
Well, but
Yeah.
they don't like all the time travel ones aren't reboots as much as time travel ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do really funny stuff with the characters in the time travel ones, like Johnny Cage, who's like more mature now, goes back in time and finds his like asshole younger self. There's a lot of fun character moments in those. But anyways, we're talking about Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh, this isn't
Are we?
Square Roots, the Mortal Mondays
Well,
podcast?
It's supposed to be.
welcome
this
to
is-
Mortal Monday.
this is releasing on a Mortal Monday.
Man, if there was enough for a podcast about Mortal Kombat, that would be pretty good.
We'd have to play Sub-Zero Anthology and the Jax one.
And
can go back
Mortal
and read
Kombat
the-
Shaolin Monks.
Yep.
We can go back and read the like 90s comic books where they started introducing all sorts of ninjas. There was like a water ninja and, you know.
Ooh.
Isn't that Rain? Or is that something different?
The one that I am talking about is definitely something different. I think.
Interesting.
But I could be wrong because, again...
I mean, isn't Sub-Zero a water ninja, but it's just frozen water ninja?
Oh, no.
That's a
the
great
frozen
point.
water ninja.
Hey guys,
Oh,
how
wet
did
water
you
ninja.
level up
Mind.
this week? It's time for leveling up. Let's talk about how we leveled up this week. Matt,
Vanessa's
how
not
did
having
you
it.
level up?
Oh, thank you, Vanessa. I appreciate you calling on me first. What a delightful person you are. Hey, I actually have two things that I want to talk about. I'll talk about them briefly.
geez.
Thing one, there is a new album from your favorite band, The Strokes, called The New Abnormal, and it's super freaking good. Raise your hand if you love The Strokes. John's got two hands in the air.
They're fine. They're good. I like a couple of their songs a
Strokes
lot.
are-
Jim's tentacles are in the air. Vanessa has put her feet in the air, and I'm not sure what to make of that. Oh, those are your hands. Why are your hands feet? Never mind. We're going to discuss that later. Hey, the new Strokes
Step
album
on
is
Boys.
super good. I don't know what else to say about it, really. If you like the Strokes, you should go listen to the new Strokes album, because it's super good.
What if you don't like the Strokes?
Probably still give it a shot. Maybe you'll like it. You don't know. I also have been reading a book. What? I've decided
That
to...
was a fun noise. It was like a morning zoo kind of noise.
Yeah. I actually thought about suggesting that Jim let me do the beginning of the host this week so that he could ask me if I talked about what the show was about. And I was going to do it in a morning zoo voice, but then I forgot. Have any of you heard of the popular new genre, lit RPGs?
What?
Literary RPGs or literature RPGs, maybe?
Are
Wouldn't
you
those be
talking
just
about
like role playing? Aren't those RPBs?
Yeah, I
Roll
think
or
he means-
RPSs?
choose your own adventure books?
No, I
Is
don't.
that like a fighting fantasy?
No. Lit RPGs, it's an actual genre. I mean, I guess, you know, you can call anything you want a genre. There's certainly a lot of them. Mostly, it seems, from what I've read about it, in like indie author circles more than like big house publishing circles. Lit RPGs are books that take place in a video game. Kind of like Ready Player One, which apparently some people consider a lit RPG and others don't.
Like Dot Hack?
Kind of like Dot Hack or Sword Art Online. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, but these are like books that are being published by like indie authors in here in the States. Well, I mean, maybe not in the States.
Like
I'm sorry.
when someone
but in
writes a
English.
book about the Elder Scrolls world?
No, because that's just like a fantasy novel. These
What
are
would be
actually
like a book about someone like if I got trapped in the Elder Scrolls game?
What about the books in the Elder Scrolls game about the world?
those are not a lit RPG. And Jim, that's pretty close, except for I don't believe that all of the books entail people being trapped in a game. So I'm reading a book called Ascend Online. It takes place in the near future, and a new MMO has been released that is VR and like fully immersive. They use nanites or some nonsense. Who cares? It's science fiction. That's the first chapter or two of the book. It then has spent the rest of the book just in the RPG as the people play the RPG. They live there. They sleep there. They eat there. Yada, yada, yada. That sounds, to me, terrible. But somebody recommended Ascend Online to me, and I really have been enjoying it. It's a really fun book. It's super light reading for sure, and it is like I think it's like an indie author, maybe originally self-published, though I'm not sure. It's a little rough around the edges at times in the writing department, but it's light and it's breezy and it's actually like a lot of fun as you kind of like read these characters and like they're like, ooh, I killed the puma and like I leveled up and I got to spend 5 tribute points. And in a weird way, it's like doing that yourself in a game where you're like, ooh, I'm going to spend my 5 tribute points. It's fun. Anyway, Ascend Online. I'm about halfway through the book and I'm really enjoying it. I've been tearing through it. So it's really definitely high nerdy stuff, but I think you guys should check it out. Vanessa,
where do you find this at?
The Kindle store.
Oh, Kindle store.
The Amazon store, the Apple bookstore, I'm sure. The Apple. I know John doesn't like reading on his phone, so he's looking at me like I'm an idiot. But I don't really expect any of the three of you to be interested in this, actually. But
I've been reading that Scalzi book on my iPad, so.
How did you? Are you still reading the first one?
Yeah. I got to a bomb going off.
Oh yeah,
and a character I like dying.
Yeah, that's that is a rough moment in that book. That's a good book though. I'm a big fan of John Scalzi. I recommended those. That is The Collapsing Empire.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I've been up to. Check out Ascend Online. If any of our listeners have read it and want to talk about it, hit me up in the Facebook group. And John, how did you level up this week?
How did I level up this week? Well, I got a weighted blanket, but it's really warm. A little too warm. But it's a warm day today, so maybe it's just maybe I need a colder day. Because I like my room to be frigid cold. And I like my blankets to be toasty hot. But this one sent me into overheat mode, but I then saw that it was like 13 degrees out today, so maybe that's why. And I'm talking Celsius, which is like 55 degrees Fahrenheit. It's too warm for super hot blankets.
55 degrees Fahrenheit is too warm?
Yeah.
What?
John likes things crazy cold.
That is crazy cold. I like, maybe 70 degrees. Is chilly? 55?
Well, my room
you stay your breath while you sleep.
Chilly.
No, well, my room isn't that cold, but I don't heat my room, and it gets cold. The colder it is outside, the colder my room is.
Yeah.
it's one of those things. So I don't know. I will come back with my final opinions on the weighted blanket later. I also have been playing Dark Souls, and that's not super exciting.
Which Dark Souls?
Dark Souls 1. I've been playing on the Switch while I'm taking my break at work.
Oh, interesting.
Is that a remaster?
It's like halfway between a remaster and the original. Like, it's basically a port of the 360 with a couple of textures and stuff from the remaster.
Boy, that first Dark Souls game without the patches is ugly.
It's not the prettiest game, but it runs well on the Switch, so it's,
That's good.
Yeah. I feel like there's something exciting I could talk about. Played more Valheim. I don't know about Valheim. I haven't got to the part where it's really exciting yet. So, I reactivated my Final Fantasy 14 account. So listeners, hit me up on the Discord or on the Facebook. If you can tell me how, I know that you can play cross server. I'm on Gilgamesh server, but I know you can play like cross server now. And I did the King Moogle trial, which has a song with lyrics as you fight King Moogle, which is quite exciting, and wuffiest Moogles. So I might be able to lure Vanessa into trying out, since it's free to start, and see if she likes it.
But I don't have an Xbox.
It is not on Xbox.
I have been squarely against Vanessa trying out Final Fantasy 14. I don't know why. I just don't like the idea.
It's on PlayStation 5 and 4 and 3 and PC.
Yeah, I played a little bit of it on PS4.
It's not on the
at
Xbox?
one point.
It is not on the... I thought it was too. I was like, I'll just install it on my new Xbox. And then it was like, not going to happen.
Oh, weird.
I'm playing...
Matt is afraid of me turning into his mother.
Oh, right. Yeah. His matron.
I tried to get my mother to play Final Fantasy 14. She tried it out. She did not like it. Too much reading, she said. Too much text. She likes it when they talk to her. She does not like it when she has to read it all.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of reading in that game.
She is still poning noobs in ESO. That's legit. My mother is in her 70s.
So, Vanessa, how did you level up?
Oh, I don't know if you've heard about this great new genre of fiction called RPG books.
Lit RPG?
Yeah, that's the one. So I wrote one, and I was thinking that I could read an excerpt on the show, maybe with some help from a few of you.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm happy to read the, it's in the notes. Jim, if you would please read the role of Jim, and John, if you could read Garrus, and Matt, if you could read the third character that appears, that would be really great. So let's begin.
And scene. Okay.
No, that's at the end, Jim.
Oh, that's at the end.
Yeah.
Oh no! Today I will be reading from Vanessa's Mass Effect lit RPG, and here we go. Oh no! I'm trapped in Mass Effect, said Jim.
Don't worry, said Garrus. I'll show you the ropes.
Jim trembled as Garrus produced a length of future rope.
Excitedly, oh boy, here it comes, said the watching Elcor.
So I did that.
Future rope.
Look for that
Future rope.
Wherever your lit RPGs are sold. I've also been watching a show, which I don't think I've talked about on the show, and if I have, I apologize, listeners, but I've definitely talked about it to my friends here, and I can't remember if I did it with a microphone in front of my mouth or not. It's called Resident Alien, and it stars...
I don't think so.
Everyone's
Alan Tudyk.
favorite
I
actor.
think so.
That's right.
Sorry.
Jim scooped me.
Oh,
It's
I thought
Alan
you
Tudyk.
couldn't think of it.
No, I can think of Alan Tudyk. Thinking of him right now.
There's one. There's two.
Well, Alan Tudyk, the nerdier of our listeners, I can't imagine very many nerds listen to this show, might remember from Firefly or Doom Patrol. But most recently, he's been doing a lot of voice acting. He is, of course, the voice of Hey in Moana.
Doesn't he play the Joker in one of those recently?
He plays the Joker in the Harley Quinn series.
And of
He
course,
does the voice of the robot in iRobot.
And the voice of the robot in what's it called? Matt's favorite Star Wars movie.
Oh, the Star Wars.
Rogue One.
I love Rogue One.
Yeah.
God, that's a good movie. Of course, he is also famously, he does have two dicks. So let's
I'd say that's how he got his. You know what? Surprisingly, though, I mean, he really is cast as a lot of single-dicked characters. And I think that's really great. You know? It's like, you take this guy who has this particular physical feature, but that doesn't define his career. He now is in a show called Resident Alien on Sci-Fi, where he does play an alien. It also co-stars Sarah Tomko, who you might remember from Once Upon a Time. She played Tiger Lily in that show where all the Disney characters were all together all the time. And also Alice Wetterland, who I heard on a podcast, and she seems cool. Anyway, it's a pretty good show. It's based off a comic. It is funny. It's kind of dark, so it has like a darker sense of humor. Alan Tudyk is the fish out of water. He is a sinister character, but strangely lovable. And it really allows him as an actor to make a bunch of weird faces and funny noises, which is what he's best at. Resident Alien. Why not watch it? Jim, how did you level up?
So the other night after playing PUBG with you guys, I retired early. Still had a little bit of energy. I was like, you know what? I think this is something I've talked to John about a couple times over PUBG, but Max Payne 3, I looked at pretty fondly. Like, I thought it was a good game with a pretty decent story. I fired it up and man, the game is just run here, shoot these people, but take pain pills to heal yourself. It's just way boring. The gameplay is very one note. And while it's presented in a very, cinematic rockstar way, which is cool, actually playing the game is kind of a real chore. So it was probably really good when it came out, but, now it does not hold up. So a lot of what people liked about the first couple Max Payne games was how dark they were, and they had these kind of horror elements in them. Like, you would run into certain areas and you could hear like Max's deceased baby crying in the background and his wife screaming and stuff like that. Gross. There was a lot of that in the first two games. And that kind of went away to more of, it's almost like a Max Payne adaptation of the movie Man on Fire.
Yes. Except
for in Mexico, you're in Brazil. Mm-hmm. And it's okay from a story standpoint, but like I said, the gameplay it's just the same thing constantly. And the game really wants you to use bullet time, which is not that interesting. And it just doesn't really hold up like I remembered it, which was kind of a bummer. But yeah, that's what I did. I played Max Payne 3 and was disappointed. Let's get into the quest log, guys. Woo! Fisherman's Horizon.
What is Immortals?
It's like a sort of more a young adult version of Assassin's Creed mixed with Breath of the Wild.
Oh yeah. I want to play that. I like Greek
it was
mythology.
on sale for $30. I would say that it is Ubisoft's take on Breath of the Wild and suffers for that, but it does have kind of a fun narrative thing going on where you're playing the game, and as that's happening, somebody, Prometheus maybe, is narrating your adventure to Zeus, and they're like bickering as you play, and it's pretty funny. I've really enjoyed that aspect of it.
And Prometheus is a beefy boy.
But I did lose several hours due to corrupted save files, so that sucks.
Wow.
But it was on sale for $30. Cheap.
That's a real Windows 98 problem.
So, should we talk about the quest log?
FH.
Quest log. Welcome to FH, or Fisherman's Horizon, but they like to call it FH. It's like
they do.
How people in
What a weird
NYC always
abbreviation.
call it NYC. They don't.
This game
They
loves an
don't.
abbreviation.
But LA calls it LA, so
That's true.
they do.
I've
Except when
been
they
watching
talk about their area.
the show Delocated that was on Adult Swim like 8 years ago, and the main character, who's like a huge idiot, is always needlessly abbreviating words and phrases, so people like don't understand what he's talking about. And at one point he becomes homeless, and they find him sleeping on a bench, and there's a sign next to the bench that says "We'll breathe for food," and that's what FH that's what that reminds me of. Just needless abbreviation.
Oh, breathe. Okay.
Breathe, yeah.
I get it. So we go to apologize for crashing into the town. We walk in, and they are it's an interesting town full of people that are like, here, let us help you down here. Oh, just down this elevator. And then they're like, what? You don't recognize me? I'm the one who told you that it was okay that you crashed into the ship, and I'm his brother. You don't remember me?
There's an
And they're all
absolute
called
shitload.
familiar face.
Yeah, there's an absolute ton of this throughout the game, and I don't know why. I guess it's hinting at certain plot points later, maybe?
It is. I think that's it. That they have very bad memories.
Boy, it feels really clumsily
it's
handled.
Foreshadowing.
It is foreshadowing. The townspeople are cool with the crash, including the mayor.
Yeah,
But
they're like, we like to fix things, so it's okay.
it does look like the town was kind of like made out of spare parts. Like it's this weird dish, and it looks like the middle is just a bunch of solar. What do you call those?
Yeah, it's like
solar
a big
panels.
solar array.
It's that
Yeah.
level from GoldenEye.
Yeah,
What's it called?
Is that?
solar array.
I don't remember. I haven't
The
played
dish.
GoldenEye in a long time.
Yeah, that dish. I mean, that's in the movie. It's that setting from
Yeah.
GoldenEye.
You know, that dish in real life, it did fall down. It was in Puerto Rico quite
Oh, really?
recently. It fell
Oh, I
right
think I
down.
read that.
What was it?
It was like a extraplanetary radio antenna, so that to listen for it's for SETI.
SETI, yeah.
Yeah. But not just for extraterrestrials, but also just, you get a lot of information about, black holes and stuff from different radio wavelengths.
They can bounce waves off of stuff to determine the mass of different solar objects.
Cosmic noise. It's all around us all the time.
So they do ask us to keep our gun blades in our pants, if you know what Vanessa means by that.
What I mean, I beg your pardon, I'm not the one who said it.
Yes, but you wrote these notes.
Oh, that's true. If you notice a difference in quality of the narration, write into squarerootspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know.
You do find a fisherman, and he does explain to you about what being a master fisherman is like. And I was like, is this going to lead to a fishing minigame? It doesn't seem like it does.
I don't think so.
No.
One thing we forgot to mention up top when we mentioned the Patreon poll is that if you would like to cast a vote, you can do so at patreon.com/squarerootspodcast. We talked all about it, everything but the actual URL where people can participate.
That is true. So this guy
Did
tells
you
you
talk to the little kid who wanted to be a fisherman in this town?
Of course, you have
That
to.
was amazing.
So he does. He's like, "Oh, you should go say hi to that little twerp who I am mentoring to be a fisherman." And you talk to this kid, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to be a fisherman, except I'm really bad at it, and I keep just like he does these martial arts moves to throw his fishing line out. And it just always catches parts of the weapons shop that's down the street." It's
And the weapons shop owner is like, "Oh, you kid,
little kid."
And if you keep talking to him, eventually he catches the shop owner like around the neck and is like hanging him essentially. And the battle music starts playing, and Squall runs over there and cuts him down.
Jeez, I guess I didn't talk to him enough.
Yeah, you got to keep talking to him over and over and over again. And then the kid tries it one more time, and the shop owner is like, "You're not getting me this time," and is like running back and forth. And the kid successfully casts his line.
Oh, well, that's good.
So did we talk about how the people of Fisherman's Horizon are like pacifists?
A little bit, but so you go down to the mayor's house, which is right there in the middle of this dish. And the mayor is like, he's got this groovy place. Like, he's like, "Oh, I live in my geodesic dome, man," which is only a little bit of a riff on everyone's favorite listener, Chief Hazard, and his crazy, awesome geodesic home.
Oh, he lives in a geodesic dome?
He does. He really does.
That's cool.
And he's like, "Yeah, so I just live here with my wife, and we don't have furniture." This is, again, the mayor, not Chief Hazard. Chief Hazard has furniture. The mayor does not. He's like, "I just believe in like an open concept, man. And so like, I don't think you should be here because you should leave because you just are like going to bring violence if you stay around."
Yeah,
So,
he can tell that our
what are you
vibes
doing
are like
here?
way harsh.
So we're going to fix your ship for free because like that's one of the services we provide because we like fixing stuff,
And they're going to teach you how to use it, which is nice.
Well, they do like completely change the way that the little control station works. Because before it was like a little control panel with a wheel, and then they turn it into just this like big dick that you hug.
It's not a dick, it's a wiggle stick.
Okay, a big wiggle. It is a literal wiggle stick. You got to wiggle to.
It's a very impractical way to steer a giant piece of machinery.
Yes.
Yeah. It takes, so if you remember Nita, he finally gets a name. He's the fourth guy who became a seed that no one remembers.
Of course I remember him. He was the best one.
That was the guy who Sid whispered, "Do your best, even if you don't stand out."
And
Yeah,
now
and then
he
when you
stands out.
meet him again, he's like, "It's me, Nita." And Squall's
He's
like, "Who?"
we were literally, I was one of only only three other people who graduated as a
Yeah.
student.
Well, but I think that is
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, it's foreshadowing.
Clumsy
I don't know.
foreshadowing that they treat like a joke.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it is.
But the joke for this character is that he's unremarkable.
Yeah.
So
That
this,
is also
this feels
true.
less like foreshadowing than just like the joke.
But I think it is a joke that it's both, that you don't remember who he is for some reason.
Yeah.
And you don't remember the people in the town. So the mayor's, then goes and, finds, I guess he finds out that the town is under attack at this point.
Someone
well,
comes running along and is like, "Hey, soldiers!"
Well, the Balam guys show up and they're like, "We're going to burn this town to the ground." Like, it doesn't matter if you cooperate or not. We're going to do it anyway.
Well, he's like, "I'm going to go talk to them because like, you probably would go out there and stab them with your gun blade, but like, I'm just going to go talk to them." And then then Squall has lots of inner monologues about how, you think that, you could talk your way through all these situations, but we know it's not true, that we should be investing in the military-industrial complex.
Actually, I actually appreciate Squall's little speech here because he says, like, I only fight because a lot of times, like, tensions escalate and it just happens. But he's like, there have to be people like me who are willing to fight if it comes to that. But also there needs to be people like you who are like really advocating for peace all the time. It keeps things at like a status quo. I thought that was a very mature way to look at it.
Right. That is after, so you do get, you do go find the mayor because you're like, oh, I should probably rescue him before he gets killed by the Galbadians. And there he is talking to a Galbadian soldier who does pick him up by the neck, which is an aggressive diplomatic tactic.
He's going to choke slam him.
Did all of you run down there right away, or did you wait to see what happened?
I ran down there right away.
I waited at first.
What happened?
Nothing really. You get a little bit more of the speech, and then they're like, we should probably get down there.
Yeah, it didn't seem worth the while to wait.
Yeah. I was, as soon as I did it and nothing happened, I was like, oh, well, there goes my seed rank.
Yeah, jeez. What are you
Can we take a moment to talk about how much I hate that? So this happened to me in this chunker. Maybe I'm crazy, but I swear to God, I saw one of those come in and say 5 at first and then drop to 4. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Mine popped up. I was at rank 9. It said rank 9, and then as it flashed, it said rank 8.
Yeah.
Well,
I was like, oh no.
Yeah, mine went down to 10, I think, because it took me a couple of tries because I was doing some extra stuff at the Odin thing, and so I lost a rank there.
I don't see how it can be taking me too long when I don't get in any random battles at all. But I have such a tough time with these controls. I don't know if it's just me. I know the 3 times speed doesn't help. But boy, do I do a lot of, oops, didn't mean to walk in that direction. Oops, went back into the same door 4 times.
You definitely need, like, for some of the finer control moments, you need to turn off that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm rubbing myself all over doors to try to trigger the action to open them.
Gross.
So the soldiers are looking for L1, and they say they're going to burn down the town to talk to find her, because they're basically trying to eliminate the amount of places that they have to search for L1 or that she can hide in. So that's why they're going to burn down Fisherman's Horizon. You intercede, save the mayor, and then fight the soldiers, and they do summon the BGH 251F2, or they call it the Ironclad. And this, you might remember, is what our friends Selfie and, well, in my case, Zell and Quistis died fighting when they exploded. So, well, maybe it's got little pieces of our friends splattered over it or something. So then you fight this boss one more time, and when you defeat it, your dead friends pop out. They're a lot. Does that mean they were accidentally fighting us because they didn't know how to control it? That's my interpretation.
No, because it really does not explain it.
I like to think that, like, when the base they were at blew up, they took cover inside the machine, and then it got reactivated by these Valen guys.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I like to think that they lost their minds and tried to kill you for sending them to the missile base.
So when you defeat it, it like backs up off the back of this pier. And it's a pretty funny cutscene because your friends climb up and are like, "Oh, hey, Squall."
I mean, it makes sense because of your friends crawl out of it, so I see why it had to be this. But God, when I got to this fight, I was like, another fucking robot. Come on.
Mm-hmm. But it was really easy.
Yeah,
it's not the difficulty. None of them are hard for me.
So you're kind of stuck there for the moment because, the mayor, he doesn't really thank you for doing violence, but he says he's going to think about what you said. You can get some cards off of his wife. She's got some good cards that you'll need later, of course, since we're all doing these card games. And, everyone's like, oh, you should probably talk to Selfie. She's been a bit down. And you go to the quad, which is like, I don't understand the word quad. What's a quad?
It's like
it's like a courtyard.
Yeah, like a place where all the students hang out, like a courtyard that all students hang out at a college.
Okay.
Every university has one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And at the college I went to, it was called the Student Union, and the quad was like an indoor-outdoor part of the Student Union.
I didn't really get, like, I kind of went, like, I went, yeah. I didn't really spend enough time in university to learn about that stuff, unfortunately. I was really busy.
Yeah, it's generally like I think it means like 4 or 4th or something like that, or quadrangle. That's what it's short for, which is
like a rectangle.
Like a rectangle, but It's usually a long rectangular strip of grass that people have like picnics on and things like that.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
This quad got totally wrecked by the crash. And is it Zell who has the idea that he's gonna? No, it's Irvine that's like, I'm gonna go ask the mayor if they can also fix something. And he's like, can you fix the stage? Mm-hmm. And then Selfie's just super upset because she's like, I thought maybe we could do a concert here. And they're like, well, you can still do one here. I'm sure they're going to fix it. And then you're able to do a concert. She's like, really? Because I've always wanted to put on a concert and we can all be in the band and I can figure out who's going to play what. Are you going to help me, Squall? And you can say yes or no.
Yeah.
I say yes.
Yes. I don't think you're allowed to say no. I don't know. I always make Squall say like the nicest things I can get him to say.
Yeah,
and usually he says it, and then people are like, "That's not like you, Squall." And
yeah, people are like, "That's not like you at all."
So I'm getting major Persona 4 vibes from this whole thing. And
yeah, and they all explain like we are not musicians and we cannot put on this concert. And then she's like, "Yes, you can. I have the sheet music."
Yeah, and they're all instantly super good at every instrument.
So you have the sheet music, and this is kind of a bullshit mini game, but let's just talk about it now. There are 8 pieces of music, and she's like, they've mixed in my music with their music, and I'm not sure which one's which, and so you have to like figure out which one's the fast song and which one's the slow song, and you get more, I guess, seed points if you do this right.
Maybe that's why my rank went down.
So you got to figure out. You can either play the slow song or the fast song. I did play the fast song. So I had Zell do tap. I had Irvine play the violin. I had Quistis play the flute. And who was it that played the guitar? Squall, I guess? Or is it Selfie?
Squall's not in the band.
Oh, that's right. Yes, Squall's not in the band. They do seem to be very intent, this chunker, in putting Squall into situations where he and Renoa are going to hook up. And this is the first one of those.
Everyone is all about it. I made them play the slow song, and I made Irvine play the saxophone because he's a creep. And everyone knows that slow saxophone jams are what creeps like to play.
Ooh, that's a great one. That's a great saxophone jam.
Yep.
What song is that?
It's either Baker Street or Lily
Baker
Was Here.
Street.
It's one of those
Baker
two.
Street,
I mixed those two up.
I know, what's the saxophone? It's
Yeah. I didn't pick all the right instruments.
How does Careless Whisper go? That's the sexiest sax part I can think of.
Whisper one that I'm doing.
Tonight the music seems so when you got Zell doing his tap, I wouldn't call what I wouldn't call what Zell does tap. It's more of a Lord of the Dance that he does.
He does a jig. All the tap part, no matter who does it, is a jig.
Yeah. And it is hidden. Oh, yeah, but Jim noticed something. So the game glitches a bit during this part. For whatever reason, and Jim's like, Quistis forgot her flute. Because it shows Quistis, and she's just miming playing a flute. There is nothing in her hands. Which was incredible.
I don't know. I tried to have 2 people playing one piece of music and two people playing another. So I had, let me check my screenshot. I had Zell on the flute, Quistis on tap, Selfie on bass, and Irvine playing electric guitar. And I don't know if this dialogue is apparent in no matter what arrangements you pick, but when it switches over to the Squall Renoa scene, Renoa's like, God, this music is terrible.
Yeah, that's because you made some bad choices there, Jim.
she's like, can we go? I think she asked, like, can we go somewhere else where this music isn't in the background?
I had her, she said something similar. I picked the right thing, and she was like, I love this music, but the last few minutes have kind of sucked. So I think they were like getting tired or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think because you can walk away at any time. So I didn't get that because I just walked away, and she's like,
we didn't mention either that, I guess we haven't gotten to the actual concert yet, so we can.
Well, yeah. So there's the concert. They put it in front of the mayor's house. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you did this, but Martine is off in the corner. He was the headmaster of Galbadia Garden before.
I did speak to him.
Yeah, you can talk to him and get some cards off him because he confiscated them from students.
No cards. Yay.
Also, Irvine thinks he's doing Squall a favor by leaving a porno mag down at the spot where he's supposed to be talking to Renoa.
Yeah. He's like, he even told Renoa, I think, he's like, I left a little something down there to help you out.
Yeah.
Why are they so interested in those two hooking up? I guess
I don't know.
You know, I kind of had that thought when I was in college, like, oh, hey, these are two of my friends. I should try to get them to date each other because I like both of them. It's a disaster. Do not do that. That is my 2 cents. What do you think, Vanessa?
I think that if you know a effervescent, charming, delightful single woman who is in need of a very wealthy husband, and you happen to have a wealthy friend you want to introduce her to, you should do that at every opportunity.
Now, do you want this husband to be, in poor health?
If he could be elderly, in very poor health, and with no living heirs, that would be ideal.
Right. Or what about just young, but will die tragically young, and so if something happens to him, it will not be suspicious?
Oh, yeah. If he could be, young and handsome, but, an avid, free rock climber, whatever it's called, you know?
This is turning into, an insurance fraud podcast.
Vanessa's new take on true crime podcasting.
Why, I just imagine the true crimes I would do were I in the position to do them.
Oh, yeah. I'd listen to that.
There's nothing criminal about freestyle rock climbing, unless it's not permitted in whatever national park you're visiting.
That
is
also
shouldn't
true.
be, because that's very dangerous.
Mm-hmm. The concert happens.
Who could have put that butter on his climbing gloves?
You all
he should have been more
messed
careful.
up your concert
Somebody
super
replaced
bad
his
for some
climbing
reason.
rope with spaghetti.
I had a perfect concert. I chose all the right things. I just walked out and then sat down with Renoa, and she's like, we really like you, and we just want you to talk more. And tell us what's on your mind, and then we could try to help. And he's like, no, I don't want to say anything. I don't want friends.
Yeah. He goes into his whole thing of I don't want anyone to remember me when I'm dead.
Renoa's job is to seduce Squall. She does try to seduce Squall. It doesn't work, but they have a nice time anyways.
Yeah.
And then the gang decides to go check on Balam Town, since there was this attack on
can I ask you a question
town
here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get back from Fisherman's Horizon, Squall is briefing Headmaster Sid about what was going on. Mm-hmm. And he comes to the conclusion that, they were going to burn the town because it's less places for L1 to hide. And then he also, I don't remember this being made explicit. It's his inner monologue, and he's like, they want L1 because she has the power to transport people to the past. I don't remember that coming out being exposition. Did they reveal that?
I don't
and
remember
I just missed
that
it?
either.
No,
but he just says it. And it's okay.
I guess that's what they figure out. They're smart people.
That's a hell of a conclusion to come to.
Yeah. They're like, wow, remember how we keep getting sent to the past? Must be that girl.
Yeah, it's probably that girl.
So at this point, before you go to Balam Town, you can do some side quests.
Will you please tell me about these side quests?
I spent way too much time doing these, and Vanessa's like freaking out because I'm like, I don't know if I can finish the game. She's like, you can finish the game if you don't, or the junker if you don't do all these side quests.
Last night, and he's like, I don't know if I'll be able to record tomorrow. And I'm like sitting there watching him try to kill 20 tonberries in a row, and I'm like, stop being such a completionist.
But I wanted to get Tonberry, and I wanted to get Odin.
Love Tonberry.
So there's this tower you can get to now that you have the ship. You do have to like go around that big elevated highway which connects Centralia and whatever the continent the garden's on. Trabia I don't know. So you can drive around.
Centralia?
I don't know. There's Centra as the continent to the east.
There's a town called Centralia in Washington State that is kind of right in between Portland and Seattle. I used to stop there all the time on my way from Portland to Seattle for a giant pancake breakfast. It had one of those restaurants that had like all the signs on the wall, like Americana stuff, like don't get your eggs here, and I love living in the USA, and soup's on. It was great. I hope it's still there.
The Red Robin I used to go to with my boyfriend back in the 2000s. It's still around, but I think they got rid of the sign. It had this neon sign that said after dinner, and then there's like a neon dessert sundae. And we just would always look at that sign and go, after dinner. I was like, I want to steal that neon sign and put it in my house because it's so stupid.
I love those stupid restaurants. But only the authentic ones. You know, a lot of
Not
places
the Red
now.
Robins.
No, and the Cracker Barrels. And there's some place, Matt, you're going to know this. What's the place that's called like
Are you
cheese?
looking at Matt's video right now?
What? No, should I?
Well, he's not here.
Oh.
And
no,
Jim's not here.
Oh.
It's just us two.
Wow. I guess this is why I should pay attention to the video feed. Well, okay. Johnny, there's an American Southern chain of restaurants that I'm thinking of, and it has something to do with cheese, and it's very cheap. What is it?
The Cracker Barrel?
No.
Cece's?
Maybe. No, I swear it has like cheese in the name because that's why I was excited to eat there.
Cheesecake Factory?
No, I was disappointed. It's called like the Cheese Barrel or
Cheddar Junction?
Maybe it's called Cheddar's.
Oh, is there a place called Cheddar's?
Is it called Cheddar's?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Cheddar's Scratch Kitchen? No.
So, I did the Tonberry and Odin thing. There's this tower that's kind of in the southern continent, and you can go there, and it is full of Tonberries, and you have 20 minutes to find and defeat Odin. That doesn't take into account, if you're using ×3 speed, it doesn't notice. But what I did first was I did fight 20 Tonberries, so that I could get the Tonberry King summon, which is amazing. It's a giant Tonberry. Who wouldn't want that? So you do need to fight 20, and then the Tonberry King comes in, and you do fight it, and then after you defeat it, it does turn into a normal-sized Tonberry, and is like, I'll help you with my little stabby knife. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm gonna kill you in your sleep. Oh, you Tonberry.
It
you
is
also
Cheddar's Scratch Kitchen.
Oh. So you also get Odin there. So if you do the challenge and get through this maze, and you have to like get a code and go up and down ladders, but you can either turn off encounters via your wiggle sticks, or you can go into your abilities, and from Diablos you can get the no encounters ability, and then just use that to get through this and get Odin pretty easily. And Odin isn't a normal girlfriend. Odin is the kind of girlfriend who just shows up whenever she wants and will just come in and slice the people you're talking to in half. And by talking to, I mean fighting with. So, it's kind of useful. Definitely if you want to have fights suddenly randomly end, Odin is your GF.
That sounds fun.
Mm-hmm. I was doing more of the Card Queen quest, which is just involves losing deliberately some cards. And to do that, I did have to do the entire Chocobo Forest thing. We'll talk about that later. I didn't do the Shumi Village thing. Did you, Vanessa?
I went to Shumi Village. They showed me a statue of Laguna. They're like, here's our cool statue of Laguna. And Squall was like, why do you have a statue of Laguna? And the Shumi elder explained that they have a statue of Laguna because Laguna showed up there once, very injured, and they nursed him back to health, and Laguna tried to teach the Shumi elders to speak. The Shumi elders, as we've discussed before, are those little red guys that are wandering around, or sometimes the big guys like the one in the basement. And they said, we don't think they need to speak, but Laguna thought they should and taught us the value of words, and Laguna was important. We don't really know why, so we thought we'd build a statue of him, and that would help us understand him.
Like
it was
the
very
Moombas?
strange. Yeah, like the Moombas.
Okay.
And so we go to the statue maker, and he's like, I would like you to collect these 18 stones. And that's when I tuned out entirely, because I was not going to do that. And that's what happens in the Shumi Village.
I'll go back and try that later. So, did any of you do any side stuff before you went to Balam?
No, me neither. I just blew through it. I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but I feel like I'm not giving this game much of it like a fair shake. Not a fair shake, but I feel like I'm not giving it much of a chance. Like, I really am tearing through this game.
I tried to drive the garden into a big crater, and it told me no.
It's like the sensors are flipping
Apparently
out.
There's a UFO you can find and track around the map.
I saw it.
That's cool.
I saw it, Jim Banks. I saw it. It was a random encounter. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can eventually find the little alien and choose to either give him stuff or kill him.
It was very strange. It was a random encounter, and like the battle screen opened, and I just saw a little UFO go by, and it had a cow in its tractor beam, and it was like, and then you don't fight it or anything. You just look at it.
The little alien's name is Poo Poo.
So I went to Balam, and this is one of the more annoying parts of this chunker. The Balam is full of soldiers. You get in by claiming you have info on L1. They won't even let Zell in, even though he lives in Balam. They're like, okay, well, tell this to the commander of the hotel, but you get there and are not allowed in. And you need to find the captain to get permission to enter the hotel.
Oh, I had to use a guide for this. It's crazy. It's like walk to 10 different, because it's 3 screens. The whole fucking city's 3 screens, and they're like, walk between those 3 screens 40 times.
Well, it's more than that. There's the garage.
Oh, yeah, it's 5 screens.
Outside, yeah. So you gotta go around to the docks and then find out that he's on his lunch break and he's like maybe getting some fish, and then you go to the station and they're like, oh yeah, the captain went to go cook some fish. And you go to Zell's mom's house and he wanted to use the oven. And he stunk up the whole house.
Well, at first they're like, they say that he's napping somewhere, so you're trying to find his nap spot. And then someone's like, oh, sometimes he's at the harbor. And then you go to the harbor, and that's where you find out he'd been fishing. And then that's when you find out he wanted to cook the fish. So you go to the kitchen, and then you go back to the station where he fed the soldiers the fish. And I guess he gave them the wrong kind of fish, and everybody's sick. And then you have to go get the dog who's good at
tracking smell.
Who's good at tracking smells, and they also use the dog to find the captain when he disappears. And the dog leads you back to the station, and the captain is sick on the floor.
By the way, he goes and cooks the fish at Zell's house for some reason.
And when do you get to use Zell's room? Is this right around now?
Yes, this is here. You can go to Zell's room.
He does have a second T-board because his one T-board was confiscated. And I thought that was going to come into play in a minute when we have to save someone who's dangling off a building. I was like, oh, well, this is like they prepared you for this, but no. That is not what happens.
I had Irvine in my party, and he goes bananas over the antique guns that are in Zell's room.
Oh.
That's fun.
I think he tries to fire one.
Oh, how'd that go?
I think it cuts to black, and you hear a big boom, and that's it.
All right. So eventually, you do find that the captain is raging, and so you chase him down to the front.
Remind our listeners who Ragin is.
He's the big guy with the very with the where you do see his arrows of Adonis because his pants are real low and he's real ripped.
He's Cypher's biggest fan.
Yeah. He's the Cypher lackey who ends every sentence with,
Yeah, And you do beat him up. He runs into the hotel, and you follow him inside, and you meet the commander, who is Fujin. You kind of guessed it was Fujin before because they described the commander as a lady with gray hair and an eye patch, and like, oh, it's Fujin.
Mm-hmm. Wait, I thought Ragin was the female, and Fujin was the male.
Fujin is the lady, and
Oh,
Ragin is the dude, the ripped dude. You can
lady who only speaks in one-word sentences shouted at the top of her lungs.
Mm-hmm. And she does want to fight you, and you can draw Pandemona from her.
I told Matt this last night, and he's like, fuck.
I had not switched saves in a while like a dummy.
Did you get Alexander from Idea?
No.
God damn it.
Bummer.
Wow.
I tried to pull a girlfriend from Cerebus, which I think was not a good idea. I think I got Cerebus as a girlfriend just for beating Cerebus.
Yeah.
It's fine, but you should be drawing off of everybody just in case there's something good. Although Vanessa did run into an issue, which is a real issue, that you can end up, there's only 8 pages of magic, and there's more than 8 pages of magic spells, so you can actually end up not being able to draw because your inventory of magic is full, which is really annoying.
That's silly.
So what you have to do is you can refine, or you can get abilities that will refine low-level magic into mid-level magic, so you can get rid of fires and cures and stuff and make them into firas and curas.
Yeah, I've had to do a lot of that, and then even refine that further into high-level magic to make room for more mid-level magic. It's ridiculous.
And so you do beat them up, and it was an easy fight. She does have a spell that will take you down to 1 hit point. So that can be dangerous because then Raijin can follow up, but I am overpowered at this point. So after the battle, they say, hey, we don't actually know what's going on. We're on Cypher's side. That's the only side we're on. So we'll do whatever he wants to do. And then Selfie wants to go to Galbadia Garden, and she's like, well, this is where I went to school. And Squall's like, yeah, I guess it makes sense. She wants to check in on her friends, so you head over there. And
aren't they just all dead though? They blew it up with missiles.
They did, and you go there, and it is pretty wrecked. But she does know a lot of people there. It is super wrecked.
Some of the missiles didn't detonate.
There are a couple of...
it's right on their stage.
A couple of blown up or non-blown up missiles there, but most of the school is in ruins. The survivors are making the best of it. You can find a Weapons Monthly magazine, I think, or maybe a Timber Maniacs in the ruins here.
It's a Timber Maniacs in their little cemetery. I like how one of the gravestones had a Squall looking jacket on it, which I thought was funny.
Oh,
weird.
Maybe they went to the same Hot Topic.
I want to make it clear to the listeners that John is not laughing at the plight of the survivors. He is laughing because I literally wrote in the note, the survivors are making the best of it, which they are.
Yeah, there's some sweet stuff. We'll talk about that in a second. So, she asks us to go wait in on the basketball court while she goes talk to her friends. You do find her talking to these two kids who are like, we're looking for the bear, and we think we can hear him. He's trapped in the rubble. The bear you gave us. And you're like, oh well, Mr. Bear, he's fine. Mr. Bear is definitely not dead. So don't worry about that. Mr. Bear is watching you and can see you. And if you cry or complain, then Mr. Bear is going to be real sad. So you got to be happy for Mr. Bear and not process the emotions you're going through. Cover him up. Be happy. And the kids are like,
great advice.
The kids are like, okay, we won't be sad or traumatized by the attack that just happened. Selfie. And, so then you get to the basketball court and, Renoa is like, well, I'm not a trained fighter and I'm trying my best, but I feel like I'm always lagging behind while you cool kids go off being all cool because you got all this military training, but I'm trying my best. And, Irving is like, yeah, I'm really worried about Selfie, like I've known her for a long time. Like, remember back when I was a kid in that stone orphanage and Selfie was there? And
yes.
Selfie's like,
wait, we need to slow this down. Okay. So Irvine's talking. We see like this flashback and we see him like standing in this sort of ghostly looking room and this little girl runs in and he's like, when I was at the orphanage, there was this one little girl who always made it so much better, and that was Selfie. He just drops this bomb that not only is he a garbage orphan, but Selfie is a garbage orphan as well.
He outs her as a garbage orphan, and that is not cool.
And Zell's like, wait, was this a stone orphanage? And he's like, yeah. And Quistis is like, oh, by a lighthouse? And he's like, yep.
And then Irvine's like, yep, I remember it all. Spunky Selfie, bossy Quistis, crybaby Zell, who was always crying because Cypher was bullying him. Because, Cypher was there too because he's a garbage orphan.
As he talks about, don't we get a cut scene and we see all of them as garbage orphans in their garbage orphanage?
Yep. It's like,
so Eddie walks baby Cypher. Like it's a fucking episode of the Muppet Babies, basically.
It is Muppet Babies.
It's Cypher baby, they'll make your dream come true.
They're seed
babies.
Garden babies? Yeah. Garden babies
Cypher
is better.
walks in and he's like, cry baby Zell, cry baby Zell. And Zell's just like, boo.
And
everyone I like how they are talking about Irvine being in this thing too, and Squall's like, I guess I just don't remember Irvine.
Like, yes, because then it is revealed. They all look at Squall and they're like, And he's like,
yeah.
Go ahead, John.
You cut to him outside, like, pouting, wearing a Charlie Brown shirt by himself.
He is wearing a Charlie Brown shirt.
He's like, I'm just going to wait for Sis, because Sis is going to come back for me, and Sis always makes me feel better. And he was there too. They always remember that Squall was crying for his sis, an older girl named L1.
L1.
Yes. Alone was also a garbage orphan in the garbage orphanage.
Oh, wait. So now it just occurred to me, you're all going to laugh at me and think I'm stupid. It just occurred to me that means, so when we see her as Laguna, this must have been, was this before or after that, do you think? Did she get adopted by this lady?
It hasn't said yet.
That's a good question.
You can assume it's after.
Yeah. Something bad happens to But Irvine does introduce all this by saying, it's after the Sorceress War, there were tons of kids without parents because they got killed because it was such a rough war. So, and Zell's like, but wait a minute, I have a mom. And they're like, yeah, but you got adopted. And I guess Squall didn't get adopted because he sucks, and Cypher didn't get adopted because he sucks. But Quistis and Selfie did get adopted, but then they still went to seed school real early. Mm-hmm. And they say, wait a minute. Why don't we remember all this? Why is Irvine the only one who has memories of this? And Irvine's like, well, I heard that GFs kind of screw up your mind a little bit.
And they freak out. They're like, that's fake news. That's just what the people who are against junctioning say. And it's total bullshit. Like, we definitely don't get microchips from vaccines, and we don't get memory loss from Guardian Forces.
Well, it turns out that Guardian Forces can cause memory loss, and Irvine only really started using Guardian Forces when he hooked up with your group, so that's why he still has memories of everything.
Well, doesn't Squall say that too? I thought Squall says, I'd only junctioned my first Guardian Force recently, so why can't I remember stuff?
Yeah.
Because, like, the first time you got a Guardian Force was when you went to the cave to get a free.
But then Selfie says something weird. She says, I remember when I was a little girl at the orphanage junctioning with the Guardian Force.
No,
but
that was right when she became a seed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I think that Selfie or not Squall had been junctioning for a long time. I thought.
Oh, maybe.
Well,
it was.
Isn't that key or ring or whatever that Renoa took? Something.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk about that later.
And they're like, well, so the woman who ran the orphanage, she was super nice. And everyone's like, yeah, she was great. She was beautiful. She had this long black hair. And Irvine's like, yeah, her name was what was it? Adia. And she had some last name that I think is Sid's last name.
Mm-hmm. They called her Matron, but her name was in fact
Kenny or Kildred.
Yeah. And they're like, but that's the sorceress's name.
Mm-hmm.
This is Sid's wife, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So did they ever figure it out? Why can't they remember stuff? Is it the Guardian Forces? Is that canon, or what's going on? I didn't understand that. The conclusion of this.
I think as far as we know at this point, that is the reason.
Kramer. Right. Okay. Kramer. That's her last name. Kramer.
Yeah. So this is weird, right? Like, this is some hot nonsense. First of all, they're all garbage orphans. I mean,
except for Renoa.
Except for Renoa. But they all grew up together like little Muppet babies with the sorceress. That's
and the
weird.
Sorceress was Nanny?
That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. I agree.
It's really
weird. This was the most interesting turn of events that's happened in the game so far, I think.
I thought it was really dumb.
It's dumb. It's dumb. Don't get me wrong. It's dumb, but at least it's interesting.
It's real goofy.
19 or 20-year-old Johnny was like, this is awful. I remember that was my reaction to finding out they were all orphans who knew each other as kids. I was like, this is the worst writing.
I mean, we spent time with Zell's parents, and now we're learning that he also is an orphan, and he has to learn that he's adopted. An orphan. It's really fucked up.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's optional, but I at one point, like, they're sort of in this dream beach remembering things. And I went and talked to Quistis, and she's like, I thought that I was in love with you, but I guess it was just my sisterly instinct. And then when I saw you in Cypher again, I didn't remember you, but I knew I had to care for you somehow, and I didn't know what to do. And then she walks away. And I went to talk to her, and she goes, actually, I just knew that once Renoa showed up, I didn't have a chance.
I missed that. So what happens next, Vanessa? We're all garbage orphans.
we're all garbage orphans, and we're like, well, there's only one thing for garbage orphans to do, and that's to go back to the garbage orphanage.
Mm-hmm.
So they hop on their plane, and they're like, we're going to fly back to Adia's house.
Quick
and
question.
It's like, yeah.
Have we talked about how driving the thing around is absolute hot garbage?
We have
Yeah,
not, but we probably should.
What is wrong with the controls in this game? It's so bad.
Why is there an accelerator button for
And why
this
is it the
giant
square button?
Yeah, it's not where it should be.
Why is the
No.
camera zoomed in as close as possible to it so that you can see nothing around you?
And why does it tell you to go to this location, and the location's like highlighted in blue, but it is not on the map?
No, it's not on the map. I just kind of was
Silly.
driving around. I actually ran into it on accident. I was looking at the map and I saw a bunch of fingers and I was like, I'll go see what that's about. And I ran into it.
Yeah, the controls are terrible for this. And I don't know, like, I do remember playing this when it came out and just how slow getting around, because in time 3 it's tolerable, but if you try to play this drive around the world map in regular speed, you'll be like,
Oh, yeah. I turned it off
Oh,
once, and I was
woof.
like, oh, no.
Oh, wow.
It's bad.
and I remember just it took forever to navigate the world, like forever.
It feels surprisingly early for them to give you travel across the entire world.
The map feels very small too.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
This is a
they
very
give you
small
a
game.
vehicle to make traveling inconvenient, and I assume they just make it more convenient later.
Yeah. I mean, probably.
Like it's a
you learn to
hassle
fly it or
now.
something.
It's probably going to be less of a hassle later.
Yeah.
Well, I thought like, oh, they put this big highway across the map because it's like, well, we don't want you to get to that side of the world, but no, that's
Yeah,
not
you
it
can
at
just
all.
go around the world. It's round.
Yep.
I was surprised at how many of the like peninsulas on the map are just places you can't even walk or drive the garden on. They're just rocks that extend out of the continents. It's weird.
I mean, John said it. It's like the maps are small. It's just like a lot of it is. I said it earlier about Balam. Like, it's kind of wild how little all of these places are. I mean, the gardens are kind of big, I guess.
I did have to learn. To finish the Chocobo Forest quest. You do have to learn that Chocobos can actually walk on shallow water, so you
I'm
can
sorry,
get
what
to
can do what?
the Chocobo Garden quest. Oh.
Yeah. Do you have something that you want to say to the listeners, to your co-hosts, and especially to me?
Well, friends, why don't we go over to my den? Specifically, John's
Apology Den.
apology den.
Oh.
So I did say that I thought Chocobos had died out because there weren't any in this game. And honestly, I probably never did this side quest the first 2 times I played this game. So, I just didn't know. I thought there weren't any Moogles, and therefore there also weren't any Chocobos. There are Chocobos. There's whole forests full of Chocobos. There is one point where you see, 8 Chocobos dance for you for about 5 minutes?
And
While
the Chocobo music rocks in this game. It's like,
Wow. Really?
Yeah, it's pretty good. There's like singing in the background and real surf guitar, and it's pretty cool.
So we're not going to run across Chocobos in the game. It's in like the main game at all, is what you're saying?
No, because you can do this mini game and then get mounts to get to like hidden locations.
Oh, classic.
So that's
Final
why Jim was
Fantasy.
talking about these rocks where you can't even go to them. You can, but you need Chocobos.
That's cool. Actually, that's fun.
Yeah. So there are Chocobos. They do have music. I don't know what the greens are for. I keep getting these Gisal greens,
You eat them.
but I guess do we?
Yeah, you chew them up with your mouth and you eat them.
Oh, I thought that was for
Good for you.
birds.
Nom, nom, nom.
You can eat stuff that birds can eat. You can eat seeds. You can eat greens. You can eat bugs. Anything a bird can eat, really, you can eat. Some of it might be poisonous to you, so be careful, But I would say not like specific items a bird can eat, you can eat. But there are things that a bird can eat, you can eat. Don't eat gravel. Birds do that to help their digestion. You don't need to do that. Your stomach acid is fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good job, stomach acid. So anyway, out of John's apology corner and back into the game, we do what? We decide to go to the orphanage, and we get there.
Yep. But then Galbadia
if you're me, you
Garden
park out in front of it, and you like run into it 6 times, and it doesn't let you in, and you're going, huh?
You have to run into the big giant ship that's there.
Yeah, I also tried running to that, and that didn't do anything. It's really annoying.
So you do get attacked by the ship, and Cypher is there, and he's got all his army ready to attack.
It's pretty cool. They have like motorcycles, and they like launch off the side of the garden. It's Galbadia Garden. It's a mobile fortress like Balam Garden is now.
Yeah.
And I didn't choose the right set of orders, or I didn't choose them in the right sequence. And I think looking back on it, I think this is around the time when my seed rank got busted.
Ooh.
So you have to give some orders here. You talk to Captain Nita, and you're like, hey, he's like, hey, you probably should like give us some orders on what to do. And you get like a whole list of things, including like check in on the hot dogs, which is great.
Make sure the hot dogs are safe.
And you can talk about your feelings.
Yeah.
So the things that you must do, you don't want to give too many orders, and you don't want to give too few. You need to say, prepare for the attack, prepare for defense, and make sure the junior classmen are safe. Those are the 3 major orders. Yeah, if you don't pick attack
first, I think that's what hurts your seed rank. Because I think I picked all of the choices. I think I did like defense, attack. No, I did feelings, defense, attack, junior classmen, and then hot dogs.
I chose like the course first, like what course the garden's going to take, because I'm like, well, that's important.
Oh, maybe I did that.
But then
first.
They were like, yeah, you didn't need to tell them that. I'm the pilot. So I'm like, fine, whatever.
So what do they say? What does Squall say about the hot dogs and feelings?
I don't remember the feelings, but the hot dogs, he says, make sure to grab all the supplies out of the cafeteria and keep them in case we need them, or move them someplace safe. Just make sure the enemy can't get at the supplies, I think is the gist of it.
So he doesn't specifically mention, good God, make sure those hot dogs are safe.
Somebody rescue those savory 100% beef franks.
I think the prompt is what to do about the hot dogs, and I thought he meant like the situation where they keep running out, like maybe he'd just give an announcement. And also, since we're here, I want everyone to know that I am going to introduce a ticket system for the hot dogs, so they can be fairly distributed.
Mm-hmm. And also maybe just stock up more, just invest more in the
buy more hot dogs.
Yeah.
Why are you creating a false scarcity for these hot dogs?
Everybody get ready for this attack.
To drive up the price.
Cooks, kitchen staff, go buy some hot dogs. So there's this great cutscene where motorcycles come flying off of, like zooming off of Galbadia Garden, and then land on the side of Balam Garden and like drive on it. It's pretty neat.
Very impractical, but it's neat. They're like rocket motorcycles that drive like off of a ramp and at this garden, and then as they're flying, the little rocket things fall off, and then they drive onto the garden, which is very cool visually, but practically makes no sense.
No. And so the first thing you do is you're like, okay, I gotta go figure out how to separate peoples, and you're like, people with the last ID number is 8, go take care of the junior classmen, to prepare for defense. People with the ID numbers 4 go to the quad, and
even numbered ID numbers go to the quad or the front gate, odd numbers go to the quad or whatever.
Yeah. And so then you run out to see Zell, and Zell's like, okay, we're ready for the attack, but first, can I borrow your ring? And you're like, why? And he's like, I can't tell you, but don't worry about it. He's like, I guess, but be careful with it. Is there anything else important we should be doing? No, let's talk about the ring some more.
Yeah, like, I really like this ring. It's my favorite ring.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zell's like, does your ring have a name?
Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, of course, Slut Zone.
I told him that my ring was named Kitty because it looks like a lion head.
Jim, what is the name of your ring?
I named mine Butt Wave. And it was just two words that I wanted to put together.
Mm-hmm.
So, Butt Wave.
So this is a GF, right?
I assume so. I don't know. Well, what did you call your ring?
Whatever it's called. I don't change
What's the default name? Griever?
Something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yikes, that's some angsty bullshit.
It's my ring, Griever. It's named after my heart.
Aww.
This guy has one memory, and it's him standing in the rain as a child talking about his sister like she's dead. So I kind of get why he's such a mess, because that's all he's got, apparently. Everything else is just seed knowledge.
Yeah.
And one memory.
Mm-hmm. So then Zell's like, yeah, I'm going to go grab this ring. Squall has to go up to the front office for a little bit. So then you take over as Zell. He gives the ring to Renoa, who's like, I'm going to take good care of this. Oh, God. And then the garden falls apart, and she does cling to a cliff. And there's a lot of things you can do to not rescue Renoa that you have to do. Like, so Renoa's hanging off a cliff. They don't have a rope. They're like, okay, we're going to look for supplies. So here's the things you do after Renoa is in danger. You check classrooms. You go to the front door. You go to the cockpit. You crash through a classroom. You find a little boy. You give a rousing speech, and then you press you get into a fight with one of these Galbadian soldiers in those dumb hover chairs. And you do press a button to get ejected through the door with one of the worst you know what? Actually, I guess this mini game's a lot like the Tifa mini game from Final Fantasy VII, where she's fighting that lady.
Where she's slapping Scarlet.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's a lot like that, except it's like mixed with a cutscene. So you are flying while trapped on the hover chair with this guy, and you can lose this one. And if you lose it, you have to start over.
I lost it.
I lost
it gives
this a
you
couple
the
of
option
times.
When you lose it. It gives you the option to do it again, but with more health.
Mm-hmm. The guide I read said, "Oh, just keep jamming on block until you can use the death blow." That's terrible advice. Just keep punching. Like if you just keep punching the guy, it's really easy. So yeah, don't listen to the guide.
It's like not responsive like a fighting game. It's like you hit the punch button and then the animation is like.
Yeah, also you lose like a quarter of your health before the minigame even starts properly,
it's
which
so
is
annoying.
frustrating. Yeah.
Now, well, the reason it's not responsive is it's not a fighting game. It's more like rock, paper, scissors. Mm-hmm. Like they're doing a move and you're doing a move.
Yeah.
And you're sort of guessing what they're going to do. But I did find if you just keep jamming on punch, you usually do your move before he can do his. So it's fine.
I died 3 or 4 times, but I did have it on 3 times speed the whole time.
So you do fly around this CG. So it's basically, it reminds me of a Sega CD game where like the polygon action's happening in front of this beautiful CG background. And you do end up going over after punching out this guy, flying over where Renoa is, and there happens to be a rope dangling, and she grabs onto it, and you like get this beautiful cutscene of him saving her, and then you land at the school, and she's super happy, and she's like, "Hey, now that we're safe and we're in the middle of this attack, why don't we talk about this ring some more?" She's like, "Because I want a ring just like yours." And so
Squall
that's why
was like, "I gave that to Zell. I'm gonna kill him."
She's like, well, I've got it now. And he's like, well, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to get us to hook up, and it's just super weird that they're pressuring us to hook up so much. She's like, yeah, isn't it funny if I got a ring like yours? Everyone's gonna think we're boyfriend and girlfriend.
Wouldn't it be funny if you kissed me? It would be so funny. Everybody would just laugh so much if you just kissed me because it was so funny.
It would just be so hilarious. Because, like, everyone would be like, what are those two doing? And you'd be like, and I'll be like,
Our tongues touch. We might as well French.
What if then we got a justice of the peace and we just like got everyone there and just got married in front of them?
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. I had a friend who was zany like that, and I went to that wedding. Anyway, revolves over the. So then you're there at Galbadia Garden. The thing with Galbadia Garden is there's lots of locked doors, but you can find key cards. Most of the students are actually on your side and want to help you. So they do give you the key cards they have. You have to go through this hockey arena, and if you get into a fight there's a whole special background and special enemies. You fight these hockey men. They look like kind of like the Mighty Ducks logo. It was made me feel very Canadian fighting them.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, like, did it make you feel good and patriotic?
Oh, yeah. I was just like, oh, Canada, our home and native land.
Jim, what happens next? See, Sora goes and he becomes a little lion in Lion King land.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so most of the students are helping you fight hockey men. You get to the middle, you do some like parkour around the school.
It's funny listening to you describe like, I went through and like all these people were there and I fought them and all this stuff happened. And for me, it was like, oh, this place is totally empty.
You parkour around the school a little bit.
You do run into our favorite friends again, Raijin and Kuju.
Yeah, and they're not even fighting you now. They're like, I don't know. Can you just talk to Cypher and like make him go back to normal? Because we miss old Cypher.
Yeah, they're like, we don't understand what's happening.
That's nice. I was for sure I was going to have to kill these people by the end of this game.
I should note there's something. This is back in Galbadia Garden. Didn't you think it was weird that there's just a regular basketball that rolls in when Selphie comes? It's like they have regular basketball courts. I'm sure Final Fantasy VII had some regular sports stuff.
We
I
just
don't
sang
remember
"Oh Canada" because there was a regular ass hockey rink in the game, and you didn't find that
true.
weird at all.
No, I didn't find that weird because that's normal. It's hockey. Hockey's everywhere. When I took my American friend to the mall in Ontario, this was back in 2012, and there was a hockey arena in the middle of it. I was like, of course there is. There's just a big hockey arena in the middle of this mall in Cambridge, Ontario.
That's funny. I mean, there's a lot of malls, I think, in America that have like skating rinks in them.
Yeah, I just thought I didn't think about the hockey. You're right. I just accepted the hockey because I'm Canadian.
John, I didn't really think about the basketball, but the hockey, I was like, oh, weird. They put a hockey rink in this game.
So there is regular sports in Final Fantasy VIII for some reason. They didn't make like blitzball or like chocobo racing or
Why
whatever.
Not? There's cars and cell phones. Like it's just normal ass world.
Yeah,
it actually kind of makes it boring.
Well, I do like their design for electronics and stuff. Like all the TVs look super weird. And I kind of like the way that they look, but yeah, it is kind of boring. In a way that it's normal world anyway. But I liked it in Final Fantasy 15. That was one of the things I liked about it was I liked its weird mix of Final Fantasy and kind of like a normal, but I think Final Fantasy 15 does it a bit better maybe.
Yeah.
What do you think, listeners? Do you like the mix of current world and fantasy world or not? Tell us via email, squarewordspodcast@gmail.com.
I mean, Final Fantasy 15 also being not a very good Final Fantasy game. Much like this.
Wow.
There's a Cerberus in the middle of the school, and you're like, oh, we're going to beat you. And the Cerberus is like, you're pretty cocky. And you're like, well, we're good. And also I've like there was from Odin, you can get as many triples as you want. Like, do the Odin fight, he will not attack you. You can draw some of the most powerful magics in the game, to boost your stats. So you might as well. And yeah, I killed him in like 2 hits. And then you get Cerberus as your girlfriend, which is great. I called him Growlsaurs because he's a puppy.
I called him Cerberus.
I also called him Cerberus.
So you make your way up to Edea. Cypher, now that you know, I guess Cypher knows that you know Edea is the matron because he now refers to Edea as a matron.
How does he know?
Yeah.
So weird.
He's like, I'm going to make old mommy happy because I'm the goodest boy.
Yeah.
And
he's like, I can't believe you'd fight her after everything she did for us.
I mean, kind of at least his weird obsession with being the sorceress's knight makes more sense if you realize that what he really means by that is like, I'm going to protect my mother.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're like, well, we'll just cut through you and old mommy, like you're monsters. And he's like, you think I'm like one of them? No, you're the monsters. I'm going to attack you now. So you do fight him. Oh, but before you do, he's like, oh, hey, Renoa, remember when we hooked up last year?
He does.
That was great.
Yeah, what a fucking weird thing to just drop in there.
He's like trying to psych you out. He's like, oh, you're the failed teacher Quistis, huh? It's going to be weird fighting your student. She's like, whatever. You were never a good student anyways. So you do fight him. He's, at least for me, very easy. Then you're going to fight Edea, but she does phase through the floor, and you're like, oh, I guess she's at the auditorium downstairs.
She calls Cypher like a useless idiot, which is super nice.
Yeah, because he's like obsessed with her now. So you go to the auditorium, which is not downstairs. It's like on the other side of the school. And you fight her for real. She's like standing up there on the podium. She's like, I'm going to fight you now. I guess she likes the auditorium because she's like, I just want to fight with an audience watching. Although it's empty. So
Cypher comes back and he's like injured and he's like, I'm back.
And you do have to fight him first, but once again, it's like 2 hits and he's done.
Yeah, he's already pretty beat up.
So when you get to this fight with Edea, don't forget, friends, to draw Alexander from her.
I forgot.
And you can also mug her for a royal crown, which I tried to do, but I kept missing. And then like by the 4th hit, because mug is an attack, I did kill her. So I never got this royal crown. It just adds one of those stat boosts to your girlfriend. So it's not like super. So you defeat her and then cut to like super glowy screen where you can barely see what's happening. And Renoa is cradling Cypher. Like she's got his head in her hands and she's like stroking his sweet face. And then,
and Squall's watching and he's like, Renoa,
what's happening? Why is she stroking his face? And then she does like have a pass out. She does like crash down on the floor.
And he gets up and like stumbles away.
And meanwhile, old mommy is like, friends, Zell, Quistis, Irvine. Oh, sweet little Squall. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was so worried this would happen and excited this would happen. And oh gosh, Renoa, your friend. And you look down and she is all passed out. And what does this mean? Why is Sorceress all nice? Why is Renoa no longer conscious? I guess we'll have to find out next time on Square Roots.
Bum, bum, bum.
Where are we playing to next time,
The end of
John?
the game.
No, we still got a disc, 2 discs left. So let's go look at.
The 4th disc has, according to this, the IGN wiki guide, only has like 2 sections in it, and one is Endgame.
Yeah, so we could probably do the 4th disc as one episode. But let's do half of disc 3.
So maybe like through S star.
Yeah. What's it? What getting through Esther? So let's see if there's a boss at the end.
Then one after that is Lunatic Pandora.
Right. Okay. So yeah, let's see the Lunar Gate. Let's say you get to the Lunar Gate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So that is. I remember this part of the game. Oh boy, disc 3 is disc 3, but we'll talk about that next time. But before we go, let's talk about mini games. The Chocobo Forest one, very specifically, is a mini game where you do have to, find the Chocobo mommy and then get friends with the Chocobo mommy, and you find this by finding chocobos, which are baby chocobos, by using this like sonar, and then you have to like use a thing that draws them out, and it takes forever. It's actually really easy, except for one area where you do have to stand on one exact pixel to get them. And that one took me forever. And then I had to do it twice because I didn't save my game and then started the next chunker. So it was
you have like
a whole
two
thing.
whistles, right? You have like a radar whistle and a summon whistle.
A Zener. Yeah.
And you use your radar whistle to walk around until it pings. And then you blow your other whistle and Chocobo babies fall out of the sky.
And so the point of the game is, I was reading the solution. The puzzle is basically, you want to get all the Chocobo babies out, but then you only want one on screen at a time. And that if there's only one Chocobo out, then the mommy Chocobo will come and rescue it. So it's a puzzle of trying to get as many Chocobos to land, but only getting one. It's very weird.
I got a whole bunch down, and then there was like this one Chocobo I interacted with, and it chased all the other ones away. So it's like you have to do weird things. It's not intuitive necessarily.
I regret not playing this.
You can still do it. You have time. You just go to the Chocobo Forest.
I regret not playing this.
I did more card stuff. I found out there's a couple of horrible rules, like direct, which means if you lose a card during the triple triad game, then you lose that card at the end. That is a bad rule.
Oof.
And then there's plus and some other rules which do like combo chains, and whatever reason the computer could get all the combo chains it wanted, and I never got a single stupid combo chain. Ugh.
I wound up with the random rule spreading everywhere, which just like draws 5 random cards from your deck, and now I don't think I can play anymore.
I did this whole thing to get rid of the random rule from Dalet. Like this whole, like, talk to this guy, then reset your game, then talk to this guy. It was a whole weird thing to get it deleted from the game. Because you don't want that random rule. You can also talk to, if you hate the rules in a city and the Queen of Cards is there, you can talk to her and play against her, and you can get a new set of rules introduced to the town. So you can get rid of it again. But you don't, if you see random rules spreading, always save before playing the card game, and if you see random rule getting spread everywhere, you want to go ahead and reset your game, because that is the worst rule.
It's too late for me.
No, well, then no, it's not, because then you just see if the Queen of Cards is in the town, and then get her to reset it. You can change the rules, I believe.
But how can I defeat her if the random rule's in play?
Because she doesn't go by the town's rules. You can ask her not to use the town's rules.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So, well, what are you squarely against, Jim?
I will say I'm roundly for the Garbage Orphan reveal. Like I said before, I think it's the most interesting thing that's happened to these characters so far. The fact that they find out they're all connected and grew up together as little garden babies, but don't remember. I think that's cool. Vanessa, what are you squarely against?
I am squarely against the same roundly for that you are. I am roundly for these garbage orphans. We've talked before about how my problem with this game is that no one had a motivation. And now that they are battling their mummy, it is a pretty clear motivation. So I'm into it. Matt, what are you squarely against?
I am squarely against driving that stupid garden around. It is a piece of junk, and it made me crazy. What about you, John?
I'm roundly for getting all these girlfriends. I have so many girlfriends now. I think what I want to do for the next time is I want to use all my girlfriends and then see which ones have the best summon animation. Maybe try to rank them. So I'm going to try, because I've never used them. I don't even have them as a menu option.
Yeah, why would you?
Like, why? I don't need these. I'm so powerful. I'm destroying this game, which I love. I do love destroying this game. Anyway, we have YouTube streams. I don't know when the next one's going to be, but
maybe Chain of Memories at this point.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, that's conditional, I guess.
I got to edit this weekend, so it can't be this weekend.
Who knows? I got the kids, so I'm busy.
TBD.
And spring break is this week, so it's not like they're going to school.
Spring break.
Yeah.
Woo, spring break 2021.
But we also have a patron, Jim. A Patreon.
We do have a Patreon, and for those who don't know, Patreon is a platform in which you can choose to donate to our show.
Wait. Let's see if Vanessa can do it.
Oh, sure.
Vanessa,
Yeah.
tell us about our Patreon tiers.
Okay. Patreon is a platform that allows you to support your favorite independent creators for $3 a month. You get access to all of our bonus content. That's over 40 episodes of various topics. We sometimes talk about newer release games or games that aren't RPGs. We'll talk about film and television or whatever we feel like talking about. Sometimes we play little word games with each other. For $5 a month, you get all of that, plus the right to vote on a upcoming game. We have a vote going on right now. Generally, we'll hold 2 votes a year or more. When we can't decide what we want to play next. We look for input from you. And if you don't want to give that much a month, or if you want to give more, you can give any amount between $1 and, I don't know.
$1 billion.
That would make me uncomfortable. Let's say $1,000 a month. Anywhere between $1,000 and $1,000 a month. And you get your name read by your favorite hosts on the show.
Isn't it weird that Jeff Bezos could literally give us $1 billion a month for the rest of his life? He has enough money to do that. That seems weird.
Weird is one word for it. The death cry of capitalism is another word for it. A scathing indictment on the values we place on people in this society. Failure of a progressive tax system. I could go on and on, but now is not the time. Now's the time to read the patrons.
I will kick us off this week. I would like to thank Amanda Douglas, Race Jenkins, Isaac Wright, Justin Ham, Vanessa's Renegade Cheese Plate, Johnny's Contrition Corner, Matt Squall is a Wiener Newland, Florian Jonas Kramer, John Scala, Kevin Walter, I challenge the other Tracy to a duel to the pain, Nick, Selfie Goes Choo Choo, Andy Smith, Armin Hammer, PJ Ends, Look Nerds, yeah, I'm late updating my profile name for Final Fantasy VIII, but I've been a busy boy. Arthur A., Vanessa's very powerful mom who accidentally turned evil, Nofford, Sexy Grandma's Boy Toy is, Balam Garden is sponsored by NordVPN, Rubber Bear by Buggy Bumpers Babysitting Service, Cameron Shoei, Chris Ryan, Chris Penyak, I've given a Cuzzle-proof poncho to the hosts.
Thank you.
Go Cry Wolf, Devin Sloan, Ron Christ, Mary Queen of Scoffs, Mary Queen of Scoffs, Chief Hazard built a delicious sandwich for Matthew Van Zandt, Andres Rivera, David Green, and Nathan Poirot.
Do you think that if Jeff Bezos gave us $1 billion, that we'd all be comfortable having $250 million each? Or do you think that we'd murder each other to try and get all the billion?
I don't even think I'd want that much money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vanessa, what do you think?
I am suddenly wildly attracted to all three of you and would like to marry you in succession. Also,
and then get us into extreme sports.
Yeah, I bought you this pamphlet on extreme sports. So go out there and live your best life. I support you.
Yeah.
Vanessa, why are you covering my carabiner in butter?
It's climbing oil.
Oh,
Keep your
I'd like to thank Dylan Rowe, Andrew Leinart, Dr. Fine, say everyone's name, Aaron Dale O'Toole, Jack Mizell, Saber Delta, Mostly Rational Person, my roommate was eaten by a T-Rex, or Cassandra, Andy, he was he was hanging out on my stream this morning, Sammy Mitchell, the ghost of Johnny's murdered fable husbands, Jonathan Ellsworth, Cyril, the Wolf, Eric Garby, Matt Jorgensen, Joshua Bennett, Matthew Zan Mant, Eyes of the Shifter, Joseph, Chris Wilder, Adam Zimmerman, Allie, Jake Dickerson, Sean, Brian Pitt, Listen Up Scoot Stains, Vanessa's Gold Taco Bell PS5, Let Ryuji Say the Word, Hexagon, William Westcard, Do Good Recklessly, I'm Commander Squall, and this is my favorite store in the garden, George, Brady, and Grayson.
Alex Dillard, Ross Hartley, Huxley, Iguion. Why? Why it changed? I was so used to the other way, and now it's Huxley Iguion. Why? Metal Gear Solid 1 in 2021. GF Function, what's your... I said it wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm messing up left and right here. I'm going to start over. GF Junction, what's your function? Joshua Double Broxson. Double Broxson. W Broxson. When performing The Stranger, is it technically Stranger Danger?
Only if you're doing extreme sports.
David Pascal, Alexander Jokic. Still just a Zell stan, maybe a Zell apologist. Wow.
Weird.
Jason Timms welcomes Cute Boy Jail. Welcome to Cute Boy Jail. Why can't I read tonight? What's wrong with me?
I don't know.
You're sleepy.
I guess I'm sleepy.
It is
Justin
late.
Rash, Tyler Petty, Robert M. Pullum, Wash in the Wind, more like Final Fantasy Great, Joshua Humphrey, Michael Crawford, Citrus C, Ari Kubavara, Snap Crackle Pop. I'm Chester Sheeta. Hails, Grey Code. Karma, 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 meteor. It comes and goes. It comes and blows us all up. Jameson, Christopher Highness, John Wall, Hudson Roth, Sean Gonzalez, Quistis. Tom.
Jeez.
Is Zell the inspiration behind Mike Tyson's face tattoo?
Fuck you,
And
Stan.
Soy, soda, pop.
I would like to thank OMG, what is this game? FF8 is the FF8, the only Final Fantasy where you can have two brothers be your girlfriend. Christian Go, Robert T, Hat Ben, the Ben with the Hat. T Bumpkins cannot stop listening to Man with the Machine Gun, and so can you. Triple Triad, Aiden Marriott, Wedgecoon, Brie Girth, Andy Best, Stu Skeel. The RPG Luminary is definitely not a chicken wuss. Stephen Paget, Ryan Miller, Aaron Bachman, Fresh Eyes, I have no memory of this game. Ward Childress, Lauren Prince, Matthew Casterline, Marcus Harnsberry, Sorceress Vanessa versus Sorceress Adele, WWE Mike G, CharityWater.org, Gage Lacharite, Paul Birsch, Randy P, Sergeant Spaghetti, Tracy, you've been challenged to a duel to the pain. You need to respond. D. Jethro, Gunblading Sid, Robert J. Defendi, Ethan G. Pearson, insert clever name here, Wah Wah Wee Wah, and Miguel Torres.
All right, everyone, that's it for this episode of Square Roots. If you'd like to send us an email, our email address, squarerootspodcast@gmail.com. Our Facebook group is the Square Roots Podcast group for smart, cool, very attractive people. Or you can find us on Twitter. We are at Square Roots Pod.
You guys, I literally broke a small sweat reading those patron names.
Literally?
Like sitting here, my
It's flop
forehead
sweat
is
because you kept
sweating.
fucking it up.
I can't handle it. Oh.
Please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, Ghana, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And also, I'd like to say hello to any new Ghana listeners since we just added our podcast to that platform.
Hello.
I do literally have, as part of our podcast being on Ghana, have to mention Ghana anytime we mention iTunes.
Like that's part of the agreement?
Yes, part of our agreement is that if we're listing out podcast services, we have to mention Ghana.
All right.
So,
All right, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
Get ready for some Ghana talk.
Yep, we will be talking about Ghana every
Now
episode.
we're just Ghana shills. What does our podcast become?
Yeah, it's true. There's
I
going to
know.
be commercials for Ghana soon in between.
Gosh,
Instead of the
I
John's little
hope
music
so.
bumpers.
I have been trying to sell out since I joined this show, and it hasn't happened yet.
That's not true. You could have sold out for a Mass Effect Elcor plushie.
That's true.
He had laser guns in his little tentacles.
I don't have
Aw.
anywhere to put it.
Time for Black Fellow to go.
All right. Well, for Square Roots, I am Jim Banks.
I'm Matthew Van Zant.
I'm Johnny Brandon for Ghana.
And I'm Vanessa, wherever podcasts are sold.
And we're all garbage orphans.
Bye.
Ooh, that was a nice harmony. I thought that was beautiful. It was made me feel very Canadian.
Yeah, I was
fighting
just
them.
going to ask, like, did it make you feel good and patriotic?
Oh yeah, I was just like, oh Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all our sons command, with glowing hearts.
I don't need to hear this whole song, though.
See
I really don't.
rise,
The
true
north,
strong and free.
Oh,
From far and wide,
oh,
Canada.
I recommend
we
cutting this.
stand Anyway, we have a dumb anthem. Moving on.
Okay, I'm begging you. Jim, what happens next?